Everything is getting more expensive. Groceries, gas, rent, and even your morning coffee costs more than it did last year. And you're told that it's just inflation, as if it is some natural disaster, something you cannot control. But what if I told you inflation isn't an accident? It is a tool, a strategy, and a wealth machine, one that has been used by the rich for decades to get even richer, and while the rest of us get squeezed. This is not a conspiracy. This is economics. And once you understand how it works, you'll never see the system the same way again. So let's kick things off by defining inflation. Let's keep this simple. Inflation means your money loses value over time. What $100 could buy you 5 years ago, now it might only buy you $50 worth of stuff. Same money, less value. It is like trying to fill a bucket, but there is a hole in the bottom. Governments say little inflation is normal and even healthy. But let's be honest, the last few years haven't felt normal at all. Prices are rising faster than wages, savings are losing value, and for most people, life just keeps getting more expensive. So who benefits from this? Those who own the bucket factory. Here's the harsh truth. Inflation hits hardest where you cannot fight back. If you're a worker, your salary stays the same but prices rise. Your rent goes up but your lease doesn't get longer. And what about your savings? They sit in the bank and lose value every year. Now contrast that with the rich. They don't just hold cash, they hold assets, and assets react very differently to inflation. While you're paying more for food, gas, and housing, they are collecting more money on those same things. So now, let's go deeper. The rich own what gets more expensive. The rich don't just feel inflation, they profit from it. Real estate. As inflation rises, so do home prices and rents. And if you're a tenant, you are paying more. If you're a landlord, you're earning more. And what about mortgages? If they're fixed at rate, inflation actually helps their own. Because while rent prices go up, their mortgage payment stays the same. They collect more income, but their debt stays fixed. That is how inflation reduces the real cost of debt. Stocks and businesses. Most companies don't absorb higher costs, they pass them to customers. Because the prices you pay at the store, they become higher revenues for big corporations and bigger dividends for shareholders. So if you own shares of those companies, inflation could actually make you wealthier. The inflation game. Rich versus poor. Let me paint a picture. Meet two people. Chris, who makes $3,000 a month and rents an apartment, and James, who owns 5 properties and holds a diversified investment portfolio. So, inflation hits. Chris' rents go from $1,200 to $1,400. Gas prices rise, groceries go up, and his paycheck stays the same. So, he's starting cutting back, stressing, and maybe even takes on credit card debt just to survive. Meanwhile, James, his tenants pay him higher rent, his stocks adjust to inflation, his debts lose value, and he uses his rising equity to buy even more income-producing assets. As you see, same economy and two completely different outcomes. Because Chris works for money, but James makes money work for him. Now, you might wonder, if inflation hurts the majority, why don't we fix it? Because inflation is incredibly useful for those in power. It allows governments to borrow more without technically raising taxes, to inflate away national debt, and to stimulate growth for short-term spending. And for the wealthy, inflation means their assets rise, their debts shrink, and their relative power grows. So, no one at the top is in a rush to change anything, because the longer inflation stays, the more the gap widens between those who own and those who rent, work, and hope. So, what can you do to protect yourself? You don't need to be a millionaire, you just need to start thinking like one. Own assets, not just income. Don't just save. Invest, even small amounts consistently in index funds, ETFs, dividend-paying stocks, real estate or real estate investment trusts if you cannot buy a property yet. 2. Learn skills that create leverage. Inflation punishes static income, but it rewards those who can scale. So learn new skills like copywriting, content creation, product design, or high-ticket sales. Inflation isn't just a rise in prices, it is a shift in power. And if you're not holding the right tools, you're the one paying for someone else's gain. But now, you know. And when you know how the game works, you don't panic, you position yourself. So don't save like the poor, don't spend like the middle class, invest like the rich.